Hello and welcome, my name is Ansu and today I wanted to do my May wrap up. I'm not feeling the best because I did get my vaccine shot and not feeling the greatest. Pushing through all the crappy feelings and just filming. I probably look horrifying and when I'm going to edit I will hate myself for it. But it's okay. We're still gonna push through, we're still gonna make it through. Yeah, let's get into it. If you're not already subscribed, don't forget to hit that little subscribe button and hit that little bell icon to be annoyed by me every single time I upload another video. Thanks. Before we go into more details of the books that I read, I wanted to go more into detail about the stats of the books that I read, and I read a total of 8 books in the month of May, which is awesome for me. I haven't read so much in a very long time. I think since the beginning of this year, I've barely read like 5 books and it has not been that great. But thankfully this month I was able to read 8 books, which I'm really happy about. I am on the Storygraph app, so I was able to pull up some information from it, and I did read a lot more emotional, mysterious, funny, or dark books this month, mostly, as you can see with the little pie chart over here. I'm looking at the pace. I did end up reading a lot more medium slash fast-paced books, which is probably why I read a lot more than I did in the last couple of months, which is great. Honestly, fast-paced books are such a godsend. They let me actually go through the book so quickly, and you know, I didn't really get bored, which is a great thing. It doesn't happen that often, which is unfortunate, but I'm so glad that I found fast-paced books in the month of May, which is totally great. And I also actually ended up reading one nonfiction, which never happens, like maybe once a year, twice a year at tops. So it's pretty amazing. I did end up reading one nonfiction, which I was really happy about as well. But let's get into the books that I actually read in the month of May. The first book I got to was These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Not a huge fan, unfortunately. It was okay. The book was really trying to sell this romance to me, and I didn't like it. I just did not like that romance. I just felt like there was no real connection with these characters, or it was just like, oh, we had a connection, you were so good together, and they were just trying to explain it to me without showing me that chemistry. And I just felt like they had no chemistry, and it was just like, why are you together? We're trying so hard to be together. It was weird. Anyway, we are in 1926 Shanghai, and essentially they were like these 2 really powerful gangs who are up against each other for everything. Like, they were always up against each other. We have our main character Julia, who's 18 years old, and she's like the not founder. She's like next in line to basically rule this party, the gang, I don't know. And there's, on her flip side, we have Roma, who's also in the same position as her, who's going to potentially take over the gang later on in life. And basically they had a past romance and things didn't really work properly and it went really south, and that's why they have even more of a bad history together. And there's some other sinister things going on. There's like a monster in the shadows that's coming through. Basically traveling really quickly, and it is getting people to go really mad. Essentially, once the virus is inside a person, they will literally scratch themselves to death. Like, they will rip their face off. I'm just realizing how gross that was. But yeah, it was pretty gross, and yeah, basically these monsters are just killing people, and nobody knows like where the monster is coming from, who controlled it, or like who made it in the first place. Like, nothing. Nobody has any clue. And obviously because these gangs are up against each other, they're thinking the other gang is doing it, like stuff like that. There's a whole like political aspect to this book, which I did enjoy. But the romance, bro, I did not like that romance. It was just like, it was fine, but I've definitely read better, and it was not the best thing ever. You know, I can see the appeal of the book, and I feel like I will read the rest of the series because I liked how it ended. Like, there's a little aspect of it, the way that it ended, I actually enjoyed that. And I feel like I will read the rest of the books just to see like how that's going to play out, because I thought that was very interesting. And I'm a sucker for like emotional shit, so I feel like I will enjoy it. That's probably why I'm going to continue with the series. But yeah, it was not my favorite. It was a fine book. You could read it and it should be fine. I was in this mood to read mystery, and I actually got a hold of The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I gave this another 3 stars. Basically, we have this couple who's coming onto this very lonesome island, and they're gonna get married. It's a very remote location, so there's like I think there's no Wi-Fi essentially, so nobody can really contact anyone in the outside world, I think. and a bunch of different guests come through into this island, and they're like here to celebrate the bride and the groom, right? And once they get there, things kind of go wildly astray. During like the toast of the bride and the groom, the bride's like closest friend, who's a male, essentially gives this very like caring speech, and it's kind of uncomfortable, to be honest. But anyway, things kind of go really bad after the wedding, and we're trying to figure out what's up, what's wrong with this island. Like, not what's wrong with this island, but there just seems to be something very sinister about the island itself, and we're trying to figure out who the murderer is, why the murder happened, and all that kind of stuff. The thing that I didn't like about this is you could literally think about anybody being the murderer and that would be fine, but there was no like clear motive anywhere, and I found that really kind of annoying. But the thing is, if the author actually gave away like, oh, this is a potential thing about this one character, this is the person that's possibly going to die, and they give you like little characteristics of the character, you could easily tell this is the one who's going to get murdered, and you would know why they were going to get murdered in the first place. So I feel like that's why that like suspense was pulled and stretched through for so long. But it was not my favorite mystery that I've ever read, so it was just it just left me wanting more. I didn't really care too much about it. Moving on, I was able to get an early copy of One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This book actually released on June 1st. This book has romance, a bisexual character, and a lesbian character. There's also time traveling involved. So our main character August, who's about 23 years old, is moving to New York City. She's trying to figure things out for herself. She does not know where she's going with her life and whatnot. When she's going to university to get to her classes, she accidentally spills some coffee on her and gets some help from this girl, this mysterious girl, and she's really fascinated by her because this girl is dressed up in like 70s style. She looks really cool. She's so fantastic to look at. She's beautiful, all that jazz. And so August really wants to see her again. The next time she grabs the train again, she sees the same girl and she's really, really infatuated with her. They strike up a conversation. Her name's Jane. It's really cutesy, but quickly August realizes that Jane is always on the train. Like I said, there's a time travel type of a thing going on, which is really interesting to see. I really did enjoy this, but I kept comparing it to Red, White, and Royal Blue so much. It was not good. Red, White, and Royal Blue is a really, really good book that was also written by Casey McQuiston, and it followed a bisexual male character and a gay main character. So that was a very cute romance with political aspects into it, and it's very funny. Whereas this one, a more time travel, like sci-fi type of thingy going on. I don't know if that's sci-fi, but anyway, that thing was going on. Also, there was, you know, this very cute romance. But the funny thing, I didn't feel it that much. It was a good book overall. When I was like comparing both of them, how I felt about each one, I personally preferred Red, White, and Royal Blue a little better. But that is not to say One Last Stop is bad. It is a very good book. I really did enjoy it. And I think I gave it like 4.5 stars if I'm not wrong. Really enjoyed it. But not as much as Red, White, and Royal Blue. I don't know. That's how I'm standing on it, but I'm so glad I got it. I'm so glad I was able to read it so early, and yeah, I'm so happy. Next up, I finally finished reading At Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the last book in the Brown Sisters trilogy, and I personally think this is my favorite. Eve Brown is the last Brown sister, and she really cannot commit to anything, so we are following her right around the beginning where she is basically quitting being like a party planner type of a person. She just does not want to do that anymore, and her life is basically a hot mess. So her parents cut her off her trust fund or something, and she's like really upset. She's driving away trying to like get her mind under control or whatever, and she ends up stopping next to this like really cute B&B. She goes in there because they're actually hiring, and basically her parents were like, you need to find a job and stick to it for a year, otherwise we're not putting you back onto this trust fund ever again. We don't trust you enough. And basically Eve is forced to find a job, and she is pretty good at cooking, so she expects that she can get an interview, get this job, and maybe she can stick to it for about a year, like we'll see. And she goes in, tries to get this job essentially, and she meets with Jacob Wayne. Jacob is almost a control freak, and he's really quickly turned off about who Eve is as a person. Eve is just this person who's very bubbly and very colorful, and Jacob despises it on the get-go. Soon enough, Jacob comes to the realization that he should probably hire her once she was leaving. He was trying to like convince her to come back, but she accidentally hits him with her car. Basically, Eve ends up getting the job, and there is a cute romance. That's basically the story. I don't want to give more of it away, but it's a really sweet book. I really enjoyed it. Our main character Jacob is also autistic, and I feel like it was done in a good way. Like, it was not just there for the drama, which I really appreciated. Characters are so uniquely themselves that they were never asked to like change themselves for anybody, and they were like so unapologetically themselves, and I loved it. I so loved it. I was totally here for it. And there were some really hot and steamy scenes in here too. Let me tell you, I really liked it, so moving on. I was also able to read another early copy of Tokyo Ever After by Emiko. This is kind of like Princess Diaries-esque kind of a book, and I was really living for it, because if you didn't know, Princess Diaries was a book that was very close to me in my childhood. It was the first series I read in my entire life. That's how I got into reading, so Princess Diaries has such a huge place in my heart. That's why I really enjoyed this book. I gave this book a 3.5 stars. I have Izumi Tanaka, who is a Japanese American. She lives with her mom, and she has a really nice relationship with her mom, which, by the way, I love to see. They have such a sweet relationship. It's so cute to read it. It's so sweet. Izumi really wants to find out who her father is, and she kind of gets a clue as to who her father is, and it turns out to be the Crown Prince of Japan is her father. And Izumi ends up actually going to Japan, trying to figure out who her father is, like learn more about the father and all that kind of stuff. She gets herself thrown into this world that is so different from hers. She's basically royalty now, and she has to act that part. Obviously, she's not used to any of those things, so she has to like learn how to be completely different person in order to, you know, not get bad press. I thought it was a really sweet book, especially the mom and daughter relationship that was in here was just so sweet. The romance though, I could have done without. Like, honestly, like, it was kind of cute, but I felt like it was really just so quick. I did not see that coming. Like, I don't know why it happened that much. Like, I didn't see like the chemistry. It just sort of happened, and they're just like, oh, no, we're kissing buddies or whatever. It's just like, okay, how did that happen? I have no idea. Just a little weird for me personally. Not a huge fan, but it's still a good book. Like, I'm gonna give it that. I feel like this was also a series, so I really would like to see what is gonna happen with Izumi, because I really liked her as a character. Okay, moving on. I actually got this arc a couple months ago, and I finally got to it, and it is by Maria E. Andreu. Listen, I would never have picked this up if I didn't get an arc. And I'm so glad I got an arc from HarperCollins, because I honestly would not have heard about this or picked it up. I give like 4 stars if I'm not wrong. We have 16-year-old Anna who's moving from Argentina to New Jersey. And basically she barely knows how to speak English. Like, very little of English is comprehensible to her. And she moves to this little town in New Jersey where most students in the school already know English, and then Anna feels like a complete outsider because most of the things that they say is very incomprehensible to her. So the things that she doesn't understand essentially is, I was also listening to the audiobook, so basically the audiobook would just go womp 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 in all the situations where she didn't understand what was being said. I thought it was like a nice way to do it. I think Peanuts does that, and I thought it was really cute. Essentially, when she starts going to the school, she meets this really cute boy named Harrison in her math class. He's like a very American boy, and she finds him very cute. She like has an instant attraction to him. Harrison is also a very sweet kid, and they instantly strike up a really nice friendship there. And she meets another boy who's Greek, and his name is Neo. They also strike a friendship, and they find it really difficult to speak to each other because neither of them really speaks English that well. But the few words that they can say, they speak to each other. Otherwise, they try to translate it into their specific languages, I think Spanish and Greek, and they like talk to each other like that. It's very sweet. There are romances involved, and these characters just kind of find love for each other, and it's just such a sweet book. It felt so warm to my heart. Genuinely felt like it really opens your mind out to understand how people find it difficult to learn a whole ass new language, especially when they're much older than a literal child. which I thought was really nice to see. I really enjoyed the book. If you haven't read it, try to give it a shot. I think it was really nice, and also it's really fast paced, so you can really fly through it, and it's good. I really enjoyed it. Okay, I got another book as an early copy. This book is actually coming out on July the 13th, and it is The Therapist by B.A. Paris. I got this book as an early copy from NetGalley, and oh my freaking god, I'm so happy I got it. It was, listen, I feel like this is my favorite book by B.A. Paris so far. This is actually like a mystery thriller type of a situation. We have Alice and Leo who move into this really new renovated house, a place called The Circle, because their house is like basically in a circle. It is a gated community, so not anyone from like the outside can come in without a passcode essentially, or without being invited in. Basically, this house is everything that they've dreamed of. It's really nice. They love it. They're so excited to be here. But as Alice is trying to get to know her neighbors, she understands that they're trying to hide something, and something really bad it seems is happening in this little place. Quickly, Alice finds that she is getting a very strong connection to the person who lived previously in the house that she's living in, called Nina, who is a therapist. Alice is obsessed to figure out what happened to this therapist 2 years prior, and she's really trying to get down to business, try to figure out what's up and all that kind of stuff. It is really good. I was so like on the edge of my seat the entire time, especially the last, I want to say like 100 pages. I was like so close to falling off my seat. It was so good. I loved it. It was such a good book. Like, if you have more thriller recommendations, just send it my way. I'd probably really enjoy it. It was really good. I probably did not sleep for a couple of days. I was literally scared that, you know, killer was like on the side of my bed. Yeah, I should probably not read thrillers, but I keep doing it to myself anyway. Just keep it on your radar. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. And the final book I read in the month of May was the non-fiction book that I was talking about, and that was Things My Son Needs to Know About the World by Frederik. When I started reading it, I really thought I was just going to drop it because, you know, why would I read a non-fiction about Frederik and his life and, you know, like what he wants his son to know? Like, I didn't really care enough. But the more that I got into it, first of all, it's very fast-paced. You'll get through it in a jiffy. But the way that everything is written, it's just so sweet. And the things that he wants his son to know is just very adorable. And it was very heartwarming to read everything. Basically, Backman is talking about all his fatherly flaws that he had on his first time being a father. All the little hiccups that he had to face being a first-time father. And he's very like open about everything, about being sleep deprived, making complete mistakes, and some wonderful things that happened to him during this time, like a bunch of letters or a bunch of essays into a book. And a couple of them really didn't do much for me. I didn't really care about some of the stories, but some of them really hit home, even though like I'm not a mom. But then everything hit so close to home, and I really loved it. I thought it was really sweet, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you haven't read it, definitely, I got cut off. If you haven't read it, definitely pick it up. I thought it was really sweet and I really enjoyed it. Alright guys, those are all the 8 books I read in the month of May. My arm is killing me, so I'm going to stop with this video really soon. Let me know what your favorite books of May were. I would love to know. Other than that, I'll see y'all next time with another one. Until then, I'll talk to y'all in the comments. Bye!